We are started.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Um, Obviously, Tracy with the State Library. I think I recognize most of the names on here, so you probably know who I am. I work with public and tribal college libraries, and my colleague, Colette Barteau, and I have been working with the commission on a revamp of the continuing education and certification program. And we wanted to host this meeting today to just kind of get feedback from you, to share where we're at, hear any questions you might have, hear any suggestions you might have. And I also want to acknowledge that Tammy Hall is with us. She's one of the committee members. And we also on that committee have McKenna Gregg, who's the Office of Public Instruction, the superintendent's rep on the commission. And then we also have Carmen Cuthbertson, who is serving on that committee as well. And so I don't know if McKenna and Carmen were able to join us today. Do you see them online, Cole, or is it just you, me, and Tammy? All right,
Yep.
that's okay. Totally good. So we are gonna, Colette did a great job of sharing the agenda with you. So I'll just quickly run through it. As I said, the primary purpose of this meeting is to get feedback about these changes. Committee members kind of actually did take some time to think about some of the questions that librarians brought up as these ideas have been presented at the commission meeting, and they wanted to pull you together and have you give some additional feedback. Colette is going to walk us through all the different changes and kind of how they relate to one another. And then really we want to spend the bulk of our time just discussing any questions you might have, any feedback you might have, and any suggestions. And then I'll wrap up and share our next steps as well. So Colette or Tammy, is there anything you would like to add before we have Colette jump in? I could see Tammy would like to say something. She's just unmuting here. Yep, we can pause.
Okay, I can't find the mute button. I'm going to be drinking coffee and eating some oatmeal, so please forgive me if it seems rude. I know Zoom rules say you shouldn't eat while you're doing that, but it would be worse if I didn't.
Totally fine, Tammy. You have
Thanks, you
confessed
guys.
to me you're a night owl. So,
Yeah, I am. Thank you so much. I read a book last night.
all right.
So there
Sounds
you
good.
go. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we will go ahead then and turn it over to Colette.
Hey, let's see here. Um, so Tracy has gone over our kind of introductions and purpose. We're very pleased that we have a number of folks who have joined us for this discussion today. Very much in keeping with the processes that we have for administrative rules change. Public input is really critically important to informing how we move forward. And I'm just going to kind of run through really quickly where we've been and where we're going. So we have public library standards that include the subchapter for personnel. And in fact, in December, at the December 10th commission meeting, the commission adopted new rules, and the text of those rules is in front of you here. Hopefully, those of you who have been following along see this is familiar language. And just know that the action was taken in December of 2025 with an effective date of July 1, 2026. So, with these statements now adopted as part of the administrative rules, we're kind of in this next phase. So, as the kind of the charge to the commission is to give a path forward for giving Montanans their fullest opportunity, which I love that language. It's been around a long time. Um, the laws give the commission the authority to make the rules, which are in the administrative rules of Montana or ARM. And now we're in this policy phase. So updating the policy to reflect the the current goals and direction that we have from the commission. But as I said, public input is really important to that because as we get towards implementing both the rules and the policy after July 1, we want to be thinking about how does this work and to have the best ideas to be able to move forward. And then eventually, as you will reply to the Public Library Standards annual report, we'll see how the work has been implemented and what it looks like. So just kind of a reminder that there's this kind of hierarchy of statute to ARM to policy, and then we get into where the rubber hits the road with implementation. Some of you may have had a chance already to look at the policy draft, a course of study draft, and a catalog draft. We also started putting together some preliminary frequently asked questions and kind of big ideas and responses to those big ideas that have come up during the process of updating the administrative rules of Montana. You have the opportunity to share your thoughts here in just a few moments. Suggestions, ideas, but we also have feedback forms. And I am so appreciative for those of you who have taken the time to reply with great feedback and suggestions already through those forms. I'll put links to those again as we kind of move through here. But I wanted to just bring up really quickly the policy draft. I might have to switch my sharing here really quick. Sorry. All right. Hopefully you are seeing, I'm looking at three different screens. Sorry. So if I'm not looking right at you some of the time, just know that I'm looking at the stuff that I need to pay attention to. So the policy draft is here. It's one of the 4 documents that we've shared out.
Colette,
Feedback. Yep.
will we see I've got the draft on my big computer up here, but will we see it too? Can we split the screen or whatever and show it too?
Are you not seeing it on the screen right now?
I am seeing it, Coley. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just see the gallery, but maybe I need
Okay.
maybe I need a different speaker view. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you. With speaker view, I got it. Thank you for
Okay.
being patient.
Oh, no worries. There's all kinds of buttons. Like I said, I'm looking at 3 different screens, so I always try to check in and make sure everybody's seeing what I think I'm seeing. So at any rate, the policy draft is here. And through the course of working with our subcommittee and then subsequent to the adoption of the new administrative rules, this is a draft that we're seeking input on. And you can just see there, the different areas. And I just wanted to kind of show this and make sure that everyone has seen it. And that the invitation is there to through the course of our discussion today, and then using the feedback forms, and then follow up with another session here in a couple weeks that you've seen what these things kind of look like. And I'm going to go back here to the slideshow. You can All right. You can log in and look at these other drafts as well. So we have a policy draft, which is an important piece because it helps set us on the stage for implementation. And then the other piece is the course of study. That's something that's mentioned in the new administrative rules. And it's a separate piece from the policy itself. It helps us move forward with implementation in that defined course of study. And then the third piece, that catalog draft, it is I want to say it's really a draft. It's a beginning place to begin to identify those important courses and how they fit with the competencies that are proposed in the draft policy and course of study. So take a look at those. And you'll see these different pieces are part of this whole implementation that will begin in July 1. And we'll continue to add to the frequently asked questions as well. Tracy, was there anything else we wanted to call out with this particular part of our session today? I know we want to have plenty of time for discussion.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we are happy to go back to these
Mhm.
as folks have questions or suggestions as well. You know, like Cole mentioned, they very much are in draft. And it's a little bit different way than we've done certification in the past, having kind of the multiple documents, but that's a reflection of the change in the process itself for managing continuing education credits. So I guess with that, does anyone have any questions or feedback for us? You're welcome to unmute. You also are welcome to post in chat. We can monitor.
Hi guys, this is Jonna, so
Yeah.
I'll jump in
Thanks,
first. First of all, I just want to say I think the State Library did a really good job at putting all these documents together. I thought it was clear. I could understand what was being communicated. I thought it was pretty concise. So I appreciated that. I had a good understanding of what is going to be expected um, going forward with the CE. I personally don't have a problem with having a course of study. I think in some ways it's good. The only thing I kept thinking about though was because the course of study is a pretty static course of study over the course of the years, while it's good for all of us to understand library law and the other courses that are listed, and I completely understand that. You know, for a new library director, yes, this is going to be extremely helpful for a new library director that's coming on. But then I think about a library director who's been on the job for 20 some years and is already really familiar with this and has already had experience with going to maybe their consultant or going back into the MCA to look at library law with a particular situation. And it seems like some of these things are going to be a little like, okay, now I got to take an hour or two out of my day to do this so I can get my credit and move on to the next thing. So I worry about that a little bit with some of the staticness of the course offerings. And I understand fully well that we can submit requests for courses that we want to take, and that's great. I like that process. Um, I wonder sometimes though if we won't know this obviously until we get into this for a few years to see how well it works. But you know, the commission is going to be, as I understand it, the body that's going to look at all these. And depending on the number of librarians who are sending in requests for the commission to look at, you know, who on the commission is going to be doing this? Is the subcommittee going to do it, or do you have like a set group of people, or will it vary? And the other part that I didn't quite see was what criteria that the commission is actually using to determine what courses will be approved or not approved. Because I don't really want to waste my time or the commission's time sending in a course that I would like to do if it's not going to be, if I know that, you know, the commission isn't going to go for this, it would be kind of nice to know at the, you know, at the first go, you know, what actually are the criteria. And I didn't see anything with regards to criteria for that. So that would be, I think, a helpful thing somewhere, somehow to include. And now I'll be quiet. So that's my feedback.
Thanks, Jonna. That was very helpful. So just to summarize, I am taking notes because the committee wants to kind of look through these, but definitely worried about the course offerings staying relevant and fresh, particularly for experienced directors, but probably for anyone. And have, you would kind of recommend taking a deeper dive look into that pre-approval process because the workload on the commission might be a little heavy, and it would be helpful to see the criteria so you can just, save your time and the commission's time. Did I get that right?
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, Tracy.
Okay. And I saw we had a lot of chats, so I was just going to pull up my chat box here and take a look at what's in there. So, Michelle, I think you had kind of said you're a little bit worried about the course of study for staff members that are not in administrative positions. And that's that. I would say, just I want to clarify here, both my understanding and making sure that I'm capturing this worry. The initial course of study is a set kind of list of courses to take, and that's that 20 credits in 2 years. The renewal is in whatever area you need. So if a staff member is a children's librarian and it's best for them to take their 60 credits in youth services, that's totally okay. I just want to make sure folks understand that. And kind of with that knowledge, is it the fact that that initial course of study is so administrative heavy that is the concern? Or was it maybe a lack of clarity about how that renewal process works? Both. Okay. Any other feedback from people?
Tracy.
Yeah.
This is Tammy. I just had a question about the process. Are we just a hearing today, or do we have a chat? Can we talk about things?
I think we can chat. We can talk about things.
Yeah, it said drop in and chat, but we've had hearings before where we weren't supposed to say anything, and I didn't know if the process was that.
When we've done these drop-in sessions in the past, when we've done the updates to the public library standards, it was definitely a conversation.
Okay.
It's two-way.
I wanted to thank the two people, the one who's called in first. That was really helpful for me to hear. I think that we acknowledge that it's kind of hard in the beginning, like with any of the training processes. I know that my daughter's gone through this with the state banking and my husband with the state plumbing. And the first set of courses you have to take are pretty frustrating at times because you go, well, I know that. And then you run into something you didn't. I think the first set will be, for some librarians who've been in a long time, they'll pretty tedious. I think there are areas like budget and law that we acknowledge will be continually changing. And given the unfortunately litigious, I guess is the word, society we live in, any library can find themselves on the front page of the paper over something crazy at any time with somebody getting mad and trying to sue them. So I think there's resources there that everybody will need. It was asked how we would probably, as commissioners, and again, this is quite new to us too. We're just actually acknowledging what was the responsibility in the law given to us. And it's charged to us that we need to do this. And so we're trying to be good stewards and follow the law that was given to us. But I think we'll go back to those original course outlines and what the purposes are when we decide about courses, and make sure, especially for the first structure, that they follow that basic theme. But I think there's a lot of flexibility with, wouldn't you agree, Tracy, with the recertification, as you said, to the needs of the library. We're so impressed with the staff we have. and really excited to hear from them what they think would be helpful to them and other people, other librarians, you know. So I think we're all going to be open about this and all doing our very best to make it work as something new. We had sort of left this to staff over the years, and it had completely slid underneath the responsibility of our of the commission. We were really not doing our job, so we're trying to correct that and take that off the staff. But they're phenomenal staff, and they're helping a great deal. So thank you for your input, and I think we'll work really hard to make sure it's helpful. But I think some of those first courses might be tedious, like college.
Thank you, Tammy. So we had a couple of other questions come in, and the first one is, how are paraprofessionals to find out about new books when book list isn't part of the certification? So that's a good point, because that doesn't fall under the initial course of study, but the committee could certainly talk about that. And I do want to clarify that we've been pretty heavily focused on the administrative rules of Montana and the policy itself. And clearly it will be good for us to tackle that course catalog. And that is kind of the next big push, is to tackle that. So I will add, considering a book list for collection development. And then I want to clarify something that I think is a source of confusion for people. The courses, whether they're actually for the initial or the renewal, don't have to be presented by the state library. They do have to be pre-approved. And so that's what that process is that Jonna and Tammy were talking about, where you would submit what course you would like to have approved, the presenter, information about the learning outcomes for that course, and then it would be either approved or not. And if it was approved, then it would go on to the course catalog. And yes, even with renewal. The pre-approval process is probably one of the bigger changes.
So this is Nancy from Wadsworth. I want to agree a lot of what Jonah said earlier. What I see is much of this CE training that's currently being promoted or proposed is it's heavily orientated toward new directors. For anybody that's been in there fairly long term, a lot of this is, other than the law stuff, is kind of a waste of my time. I don't have a lot of time. It's a waste of my time. I have the best knowledge of what I need to know. There's too many courses that I could see that are orientated towards the larger libraries. There's very few that I see that apply to one person and a small couple of people library. I don't need the teen training. I don't need the World Share catalog training, or not the World Share, the shared catalog. I don't need a lot of these other things. I'm a one person library. I don't need that stuff. So if I have to take this stuff, complete waste of my time. It doesn't help my job at all. I think that the pre-approval course of, like, I want to pre-approve this course is not clear. And there's a section in all of these documents where it says that the state commission will review this in 10 years. Did a lot of research on new procedures and that. They said if you're going to have something, especially this new, it needs to be like within a year, definitely within 2 to 3 years maximum. And I get where it does say they can kind of, but it says in their documents, we'll look at it again in 10 years. And in 10 years, it's going to be too late if it's a process that does not work. I'm seeing a lot of I've talked to several long-term directors, and they're going, I'm just going to go ahead and retire because I'm not going to deal with this. So I have a lot of concerns about this.
Okay. So to summarize for you, Nancy, you're a little worried that the initial course list And the items you're seeing on the course catalog right now are irrelevant for small library directors. And the pre-approval process is unclear. And then worried about the timing, which I'd like to actually address that one. But did I capture your concerns?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I want to clarify that 10-year review. That is for the administrative rules of Montana themselves, which is that bigger bucket. What I have heard from the subcommittee members, and Tammy, you can correct me if I'm misunderstanding this, is that they understand that the process might need tweaking. And that is something that they will review. And that course of study and the course of study will be looked at every single year. And the course catalog will be looked at and updated basically every time they go through that pre-approval process. So that's going to be a living dynamic document, the course listings that are eligible for credit. And then the course of study will be reviewed every year. And then the policy, which is what drives the process, is something that what I've kind of heard the subcommittee say is they recognize that we're figuring this out and that it may need to be tweaked. So I don't think the subcommittee is envisioning that it will be 10 years before the policy it's looked at. That was actually the administrative rules of Montana themselves. Does that help? Maybe clarify things?
May I ask a question?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
that was really a helpful concern. When you first came to this job, what kind of courses did you take to get, there had to have been required courses in the beginning. And what kind of courses are you now doing to keep up the certification that's required?
So for me, when I first came on, the laws were very, very important for me. As far as how we were initially re required is there was all those little divisions. We had to do technology. We had to do, I remember all the different things we had to do. There was like 4 or 5 different sections. You had to have so many credits in each different things. I got to admit, some of those areas were a little bit of wasted time for me because I'm a one-person library. What I do now for recertification, I look to see what do I need to know to do my job. And what I see is what I need is far different than a lot of the directors in the state because they're a
Mm-hmm.
different size library. They
Mm-hmm.
have different services. They have different patron needs. There's just, I mean, I look at Belt, she has completely different need, not completely. She has different needs than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Lear has, she's a one person library. She has different
Yes.
needs than I do. I, I there's I mean I have found courses online, this and that, that pertains exactly to what I need. It's like a lot of the libraries have done Montana shared catalog. It's not what I need and not what I want for my library. So the training that I would like to do and be certified for my certification is training is focused on the system that I use to catalog my books, to everything that has to do with that. And I mean, there's been things that I've taken because, well, I have to have credits. It doesn't really apply to me, but I've been forced to do it. But I try and not take those courses because it's just a waste of time. And I don't have time to waste.
Well, I really appreciate that honesty, and I think that I don't see that changing. I see you still bringing classes to our attention that have been really helpful to you. And this is just a reality in Montana for doctors, for lawyers, for hairdressers, that you've got completely different numbers of people in big towns and small towns and what they need and how you train and what helps you doesn't help someone else. That's absolutely always going to be a problem, even in college classes. And it certainly is in a recertification and certification. So that's just a given. We can't undo that. That's just a reality. Um, Probably worse in Montana than some bigger states, but it probably is an issue in every state. But you will still, these good courses that you have will still, you will have access to bring them to us and have them approved, and then other librarians can use them. So I really appreciate you sharing how you solved that problem, and I don't see that changing. I think what's the only, I guess what I would just keep stressing is the only thing that's changing is that things have gotten exceedingly loosey-goosey. Um, and when we went through and renewed everything, there were over 40 providers, many of whom we couldn't trace down what they taught or how they taught it or the topics were. It just was not productive for what the state would require under law. So we had to pull that back and start over. And it's always difficult to start over for you and for us. But we respect you so much that we really want to make these work. I want that to be clear, that everybody on the commission has said, we want to respect our local libraries. And if you come in with a great idea that it fits you at your one person library, I bet it fits other people. And so if you bring it to us and it has, goes through the process, I think people will be really happy with that. But any job you go into, you're going to have to start with a certification process, much of which you already know. It's just the way it is. That's what I found when I taught at MSU. That's what I taught, or it just is the way it is. And I think we all know that in professions that matter, where you have to have certification.
If I could jump in, and I apologize, this is a great conversation. I do want to acknowledge we've had some chats come in, and I wanted to get to them first since they may not have microphones, and then definitely Jonna and Michelle will do you next. So let's see. I think the last one is the Lewis and Clark Library. I think the course catalog will grow dramatically in the first year because every time a new course is approved by the pre-approval process, then everyone is eligible to take it, correct? That is correct. How often will the catalog be updated through the pre-approval process? That is a great piece of feedback that has come through that I think the subcommittee needs to wrestle with because the timing is very important. I know that's a concern others have mentioned is sometimes you don't find out about one. Like I had a librarian mention they really wanted to take a webinar about accessibility of their website because that's an issue. The feds are coming down with changes, but the webinar was like in 2 days. And that actually probably wouldn't be something that would make it through the pre-approval process because the commission has to meet open meeting law. And so we'll bring those kinds of examples to the subcommittee to talk through. But that's a really great question about how often it will be updated. And then Michelle mentioned that definitely a need for small libraries to have courses geared to them. Kara asked, what are some topics that would be good for smaller libraries? If you would like to email or contact Kara Collet or myself with your suggestions, that would be lovely. Michelle mentioned all the courses the State Library has done over the years, their YouTube channel, MSL Learn, I don't believe should require pre-approval. Those would actually go through the process, Michelle. I mean, I think the subcommittee would agree with you. Courses that fall within that course of study or those competencies would be approved, but we would definitely be including those in that initial catalog. And then Kate had mentioned, is OCLC Web Junction a good independent events resource? We have definitely brought up Web Junction as a possibility to add to the catalog. Then there was agreement. In the ever-changing world, we all need to keep up with technology, and just knowing what is out there is best. for all staff, not just directors. We have 400 or more patrons to assist every day. Mary asked, I apologize if this has been answered, but do we get credit for what we have done, or are we starting new again? We are still working out the transition, Mary, but any continuing education credits you have taken up through June 30th would apply towards the new system. And so, all right. So let's see. I think Karen, you might have been before Jonna. So I think it's Kara, Jonna, and then Michelle.
Hi, thank you. Sorry to jump in.
That's
Yeah, Karen from Madison Valley. First, I just want to thank you for having this today. This answers a lot of questions for me as I dive in and understand the new process and keep trying to learn about what we're going to have to do. So bear with me a little bit. So I just want to thank the MSL staff because you worked very hard to present this in an understandable manner and lay it out as a process for us. And I have full trust in you for designing courses that are applicable, at some point to our careers and our libraries. And I'll always be an advocate for lifelong learning and certification, but this new process, this change is a little harder for me, because for one thing, I've always used the certification process at a local level as well. We've tied it to actually payroll. And if you get certified, you get, a raise and jump up the pay ladder. Well, having this removed for staff now has ramifications for me because I have to go back, review policy, work with the commission, um, and try to think, yeah, just rework a lot. This erase is a lot of work that we've done so far. So we just have to get in there and retool some systems that were in place. Um, and and I look forward to new course offerings and things that maybe I don't know or would like to learn, didn't know I wanted to learn. But also it feels a little bit by having to apply for course credits outside your curriculum. It just I'm losing a little control here. Um, because when you look at the wide offering of courses, in all reality, sometimes I see them a day or two before they happen. And so by having to apply for them, I lose the opportunity to earn credits that someone else may think is a good idea or not. Um, and I think this comes as part of me understanding the process more, but for our particular library, the ties to certification, the benefits are not, I don't know how to say this without removing the benefits to certification. I guess what I want to say is the monetary benefits for certification. It makes me wonder sometimes if it's worth certifying. Um, but again, there's things I need to learn about the system. It's just another path. Um, and you may have answered this question before, but I hope that I want to say that trainings like yesterday, the webinar that your staff put on, I just wanted to know if this would be in addition to all of the training courses that would still be offered for our staff. Even though they don't require certification, they're still helpful. So I want to know the division or if it's in addition to those. Thank you.
So let me make sure I got it, Karen. You were pointing out the impact on you of the loss of the staff certification track because you have tied that to pay. You're also very much worried about the pre-approval process being timely enough for you to take advantage of courses that are relevant to your work. And a little bit worried that loss of that choice is going to make certification less relevant. Did I get that right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
You're very good at this.
Okay. And then I just want to make sure I understand your question about like the webinar done yesterday. Are you asking like, is that going to count for continuing education credit or will it have to go through the pre-approval process? Is that what you're asking?
No, I think I'm asking if there will be any, all the new requirements
Mhm.
for certification
Yeah.
are separate from all the wonderful courses that are given for staff, outside of the certification track. If Because I just want to know if this is on top of that, or if some will be replaced because I'm not explaining myself very well here. You have so these new certifications, you have requirements that you will provide to us.
Mhm.
Will all of the other classes, such as yesterday's class webinar, still exist?
Oh, yes.
Because they aren't required for certification.
Yes, and actually, they would fall under like the library services competency. So when you went for renewal, they would even count for continuing education credit. And many of them would even fall under some of the other areas with the initial.
Great. Thank you.
Yep, of course. Okay, I think Jonna is next.
Hey, okay, just real quick here. I just have a suggestion, perhaps a consideration. It seems like the pre-approval process has kind of gotten people a little worried. And so I understand the commission's desire to get things kind of under control, that things have been loosey-goosey in the past, and maybe things were being approved that maybe shouldn't have been approved, whatever, some stuff slid through the cracks. So I can understand wanting to get a little bit of control on that. But with the pre-approval process, it feels like it's a little more controlling. So I'm just throwing it out there for some consideration that if we take a course that wasn't pre-approved, if the commission might consider looking at it and approving it in hindsight. Because if it's an interesting class that I need to take anyway, I'm going to do it anyway, right? Whether the commission pre-approves it or not. Okay, let's say I'm not saying this right either. So let's say there's a course that's coming up in 2 days. It's pertinent to my job. It's what I want to do. So I'm just going to do it. Okay. I need that information that's in that webinar. If I could send that to the commission and say, hey, look, I took this course. This is how it's relevant to what I'm doing. It's relevant to my job. Will you consider it? That might provide a little more flexibility for us without having to worry so much about the pre-approval process. So I'm going to take that anyway. But if I could at least get credit for it, it really helps me with my job and my accreditation. I don't know if I've been clear on that. I could always email you, Tracy, too, what I'm talking about. I mean, I guess I just want a little more flexibility with regard to this whole pre-approval thing. It just seems very restrictive, constrictive.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah,
This
go ahead,
is
Michelle.
Michelle. And I think the word in all of this documentation that I was so worried about was that credits will not be applied retroactively.
Mhm.
You know, that phrase is scary. It's just like, oh, did I lose everyone?
Nope, nope. I was just waiting to see. Um, okay, so I made note that you are scared that credits will not be approved retroactively. I also made note that Jonna is suggesting that maybe the commission reconsider that and allow librarians to submit things like webinars that maybe were recorded. Like, for instance, I know cybersecurity is a huge issue. And so if one of you took a cybersecurity session from Niche Academy, and could you submit that as a suggestion for the course catalog for future, for you to get credit and for future library people to be able to take? And I can certainly ask the subcommittee if they would consider that idea. I
Can I
want
say that
to,
I think that that's a great idea, and also because looking at this form, it's like it's almost kind of hard to fill out, and it's like if you already took the course, then you could fill it out much more easily. Um, and I also was wondering if they could take off the cost to the Montana State Library, because how would we know that?
I will ask. I think the reason that they wanted to know is just for some of our things, like we arrange with federations and stuff, there is a cost for the state library. And so I think there was some curiosity about that, but you would just put zero. If there's no cost, like I think that line might be more for staff than it is for MSL for librarians. So I will ask about having that be in a different format,
Yeah, because we wouldn't know.
right? I
What I
wanted,
also love about that idea is just because sometimes I think I need a training and I start to take the training and I watch it for 15 minutes and I'm like, nope, that's not what I needed. And I wouldn't suggest it. So like, so if you're doing a pre-approval, then you have to have just guess that you're going to do it because you don't want to waste your time necessarily. I mean, Jonah says she's going to take it anyway, but I don't have time to take things that aren't going to be caught often. Well, I sometimes I will, but if I really, really have to, but I try to take things that are going to count. So then you would, so if you could watch it ahead of time, then you can just be like, oh, that was no good. I'm not going to finish that and I'm not going to suggest it.
okay. All right. I will take it back to the subcommittee. I want to honor the people who've been using chat, and then I will come back to you, Heather. So let's see, Denise just mentioned the MSL cost. So Michelle, the criteria for course appeal is quite important. So making sure that that's clear about the criteria. I think we talked about the quick approval. Coley had asked if other libraries tie staff incentives or pay bumps for when staff certify. And so folks were answering her question about that. Some of you do, some of you don't. And Coley asked if you would please test the draft proposal form. And that is actually something the subcommittee asked to do because that helps them see how it's going to work and what changes need to be made. All right, Heather, go ahead.
I guess I got two questions. So I do like what's in the course catalog. I think there's some good stuff, and I do think that some of it's going to be repeat because you have everybody coming in at different places in their career in their position as a director. So that makes sense. You're going to have some basics, some in between, some new stuff. So that's cool. My concern is, we've always been about lifelong learning in CE. I feel like staff is getting left kind of in the shadows here. And I think it's important for them to also have the ability to grow within their position by being able to take continuing education that is there for them, that they don't have to go dig for and then hope it gets approved. I mean, I don't want my staff spending piles of time trying to get trainings approved when there's really not much in this current course catalog for them. And I want them to grow. And I do think still need to push our staff to become certified because it's important for a library to be well rounded. Everybody needs to be continuing educating. So they need to move forward just like we do. So that's my one concern is staff not having readily available training either to find. And then I like the idea of like, we'll take it and see if it'll get certified. If you see something that you want to take, even if it doesn't get you certified, it's still helping you grow in your position because it's going to be very defeating for them if they take something or want to take something and don't know if they're going to get certified for it. I think that's kind of unfair. My other question is looking through this course catalog, and it's going to be looked at every year. What happens when you've done a good chunk of the what's already in here and you're trying to work on your you're continuing your recertification over the next 5 years? Like, what if you've already taken 70% of what's in here and you're trying to finish up? What kind of options do we have? Because as everybody knows, we don't have time to go out and dig for more training that we hope may get approved. So that's my one concern is what happens when you get going in here? Because I'm looking at a lot of this and some of it I've already taken. So if I'm going to start all this over in July and work on my recertification, what do I do when I've already taken a chunk of this and it's not going to get me to my credits I'm required? So that was my question, is how often is it going to get moved around so that you have enough new things to take to be able to renew your certification when it's time? That's all.
Tracy?
Yeah, go ahead, Tammy.
Boy, I appreciate your questions. They are just so thoughtful. And I think, again, it all goes back to respecting the local library and saying, as we clean up this process, let's not lose your input. And we really do appreciate it. I think some of the things we were trying to put in will always be changing, unfortunately. The budgeting is changing all the time with the legislature. Granted, they're only every 2 years, but boy, when it changes, it changes. The law is also changing quite a bit of the time. And the technology, I don't know about you, but boy, the technology that's hitting us, it just seems like it's constantly in a world of change. So I think we're seeing some of those as not stagnant, that they're going to be constantly, and we want to help you be updated on it. But I always want you to know that bringing forth, courses that you've stumbled on or seen or found, is the board has agreed, and I can't speak for the whole commission, but I know there's great agreement that if need be, we will hold, with 24 hours notice to the public, we'll hold a Zoom meeting if a course is something of real substance that isn't offered somewhere else and libraries can really use it. We're going to work through this with you. And granted, because we're coming from this one extreme of, as I said, loosey goosey, there's probably a better word in your standard because you're all better wordsmiths, to something that works for everybody but also fulfills the law, which wasn't happening. I think there's going to be some learning time and whatever. But the one thing I will tell you is that the commissioners have over and over, every one of them stated that the people like those of you online today are incredibly professional, incredibly involved, and have great ideas. And we want to hear them and make sure we're listening and we can make them work. You have no idea how much respect I have for people like Tracy and Coley and what they do. Just absolute phenomenal people. But I know out there are many of you doing the same thing. One other thing I want to point out that came up several times, we kind of have a hope here that there might be some staff members that take these classes and have never thought of themselves as being a library director. And all of a sudden they go, wow, I never thought that's something I would want to do, but this is really fascinating. And maybe they'll see it and want to move forward into those higher positions that are much more rewarding for them, and both financially and intellectually and challenging. And maybe, taking some of these courses will open their hearts to, oh, wow, I could do this. So maybe that'll happen too. So I'm not sure that saying that doesn't apply to my staff now, again, won't be an issue. And one last thing, sorry for my voice. It's all cracky. It's the MS. It gets weird. Yesterday we had, 2 days ago, it was a horrible situation where middle school kids, 4 middle school kids beat up a young boy in a park that's in the library. It's part of the library. And all of a sudden now, because it's gone viral and it's a horrible video, you don't want to see it on the news, even if you're a mother, it breaks your heart. But all of a sudden, here's this wonderful library in Belgrade that people are asking, well, what's the security in that park that is with you? And what do you, and they're on the front line of something that wasn't in their plans at all to be speaking about. And so sometimes this, what to do with the media and what to do with the law, is relevant to everybody that you don't expect. So there, but by the grace of God go I, it can be all of a sudden something you have to deal with. So anyway, I'm sorry I rambled on that. Thank you. I just want you to know we appreciate you and we're listening.
And Heather, I see that your hand is up. So if you wanted, I'm guessing you might want to respond. So please go ahead and then I'll come back to the chat.
No, I appreciate all that. The one thing I forgot to ask was my other concern with this is we don't get a lot of face-to-face time. And if it's difficult for us to get online training done, I worry about how much face-to-face time we'll get training now. And I think that in-face collaboration, getting to visit with somebody else doing something in your position, whether it be a children's librarian, a teen librarian, collection, whatever. That's my other concern is that going to slowly go away too? And I feel that is still something that is needed is face-to-face time with your colleagues, whether no matter what position you're in. So that's my other concern with is how that's going to work out with this new continuing education. Now I promise that's it. That's it. I'm done.
It's okay. And I do want to acknowledge that we have talked about the importance of face-to-face training and have been including them in the course catalog and so forth. And then I'm going to take a chance. Like, I really do need to check in with the subcommittee on this. But that loss of the staff track is clearly one of the biggest concerns. I would say the two biggest concerns is just the relevancy and the pre-approval process and keeping it fresh, but also that loss of the staff track. And so it would be really helpful for me because I want to acknowledge, Tammy's right. Some staff members suddenly discover, hey, that might be a path for me, or they may even be interested in being an administrator. But I think many of you know, and I've certainly worked with staff for whom they're like, no, that's not my thing. Like, what I love is working with kids. That's what I want to do. And so I can understand that when you have limited time and that might not be a pathway for someone, you would like some sort of option. And so I will chat with the subcommittee members about that, but maybe what we can do is we would need your help figuring out what that looks like. Because the thinking with the initial course of study or that initial certification is like, okay, this is the foundation. This is what you need to know if you are a new director. And staff are harder because, some staff are generalists and some staff are very specific. And so, I will touch base with the subcommittee, but maybe what we need to think about is should we go back to the drawing board, given how obviously important it is to many of you that there be a staff track and talk through what that could look like. And so I will commit to kind of putting that on the agenda. I just wanted to say that. Now I want to acknowledge the different chat messages here. There's a lot of people, I think, appreciating the suggestion that maybe if a library director is like, I'm going to go ahead and take this class, but I really think it should be added to the course catalog for future folks to take, I will take that back to the subcommittee. A need for money for training because so many trainings do cost. A thank you to Colette, who's offered so much support. And then mentioning that college courses do cost quite a bit of money these days. And can the draft course catalog be updated before approved to include more cataloging, AI, and cybersecurity? That's a great suggestion. And they appreciate the commission has to make sure new directors have the essential courses, but can we have a different track that the commissioners don't need to approve for staff? So staff can still get certified in classes that apply more directly to their jobs. That's a different way of wording that. I can ask. Okay. Just kind of an acknowledgement that for staff learning is quite differently. Okay, thank you. And then a loss of the trustee track as well. We have not heard that as much, Julie. So in our last few minutes, if you wanted to talk more about that, or I guess we only have 1 minute left. If you would like to send me a message offline or give me a call, just let me know. And then one more question for clarification. Going forward with the CE track, credits for certification now will have to be obtained after June 30th, 2025, correct? And then I think what you're asking is if you are working on an existing track that extends beyond that June 30th deadline, how are the credits going to work? And that is one of the transition questions we need to work through. We'll try to get back to you, Mary. That rule actually about the master's degree, let me visit with Collet on whether or not it would count. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you so much for your good discussion today. I want to honor your time and make sure that we are done at 11. You gave us a lot of good feedback. I will take this back to the committee. I definitely encourage you to feel free to complete the feedback forms, but also if you're more comfortable emailing or calling Collet or myself, please feel free to do that. And then as Collet mentioned, we do have another one of these coming, and you're welcome to come to that again, because if you're an introvert like me, sometimes you think of things afterwards. And so we are certainly welcome all of your feedback. Collet or Tammy, anything else you would like to add?
I just can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough, Trace. I can't thank the people who spoke enough. Their ideas were really helpful. We are processing this and trying to work through it. The commission is in the same boat you're in, is trying to say, what does the law allow us to do? What does the law demand that we do? And we're trying to really balance this. So we're really grateful to people like you who take time and so articulately express what they're trying to say. Aren't you impressed with your fellow librarians, Tracy? I'm so
Always,
impressed
Tammy.
with these people and you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. This is a really great and very helpful discussion. Really appreciate you taking the time today. Right. All right. Bye, everyone.